By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Timmy Talks, the channel where we talk old school magic. And we are back in Arvika, Sweden for the finals of the Arvika Festival, the 10th edition. And I'm just really excited and pumped for this finals. We've got Emil playing with a beautiful land destruction deck. It's black, it's green, it's blue. He's playing Paralyze. I love it. And he's taking on Karl. And Karl is playing, it's kind of the deck, but then with creatures. It's triple S. It's got Sarah Angel, Suchi, Savannah Lions. It's blue and white mainly, and of course it's got that black splash, but more about that in the deck tech section of the video. I've got lovely deck photos of both of these decks, but before we jump into the deck techs, I would first like to tell you something about my Patreon page. Aye, me hearties! If you would like to support the show, you can become a patron at patreon.com/TimmyTalks. We have 3 different patron levels. You can join as an apprentice for just $1 a month. And this will give you access to the Timmy Talks Discord, and you can join in on all the Timmy Talks online tournaments, such as the Color Clash and the Reprint Masters. You can also become a supporter at the Sorcerer level for just $2 a month. When you are a Sorcerer, your name will be mentioned in the end scroll, and if you want, you can play a game against, well, me. But there is more. If you become a supporter at the Pirate level, we can even make an episode together. Aye! Haha! You can also choose to pay annually for a 10% discount. So what are you waiting for, me hearty? Visit patreon.com/TimmyTalks and join the Timmy Talks crew. Arr! And we are back and ready to dive into the deck techs. I'm going to start with the player on the left, that is Emil. Let's take a look at his Ponza deck. And here we see the deck of Emil, Bug Ponza. So it's a 3-colored Ponza deck, right? We see blue, we see black, we see green, and it's called Ponza because of the land destruction, 4 sinkholes, 4 ice storms, and of course crumbles, because you need some artifact destruction if you're gonna attack the mana base of your opponent. And the reason for that is obvious. You're playing old school, you're gonna run into a lot of Moxen, you need those crumbles to kill the Moxen, and of course you've got your land destruction spells to kill the land. So hopefully you're gonna get ahead on mana, on tempo, when you're playing this deck. That's of course what Emil wants to do. Now, an important creature in this whole thing, in this whole strategy, is Elves of Deep Shadow. Elves of Deep Shadow, a 1/1 creature from the dark. Lovely art by Jesper Meerforce. You can tap her for 1 black mana, and then you also take 1 damage. And this is pretty cool, right? So if you turn 1 play your Elves of Deep Shadow, then turn 2, you're pretty sure that you can play a Sinkhole or an Ice Storm. So you can destroy a land on the side of your opponent. That's of course the plan. And then you're ahead of mana because of your Elves of Deep Shadow. What are you going to do with this tempo advantage? You're probably going to try to play out some of your big creatures like Surrender Befried and Suchi. He's also playing with 4 Mishra's Factories, and just start attacking a little bit. And if your opponent can then finally play out a creature to block, you can use your Paralyze. Paralyze, an enchant creature. Again, I'm super excited that this card made it into the finals. I think it's super cool. It's an enchant creature for just 1 black. When you play it on the creature, it taps the creature down, which is pretty sweet. Then during your upkeep, well, I should say during your untap step, it doesn't untap as normal, but during your upkeep, you can pay 4 mana to untap it. Now, this 4 mana can be pretty steep when you're playing against this deck because he's attacking your mana base. So Paralyze and land destruction really go hand in hand. And what I love about Paralyze is that it's a black card, but it's not limited to not being able to target black creatures or artifact creatures, which is something you usually see with black removal cards. Paralyze doesn't have that drawback. Talking about a card that does have the drawback is the Terror. So we see a single Terror in this deck. The reason that Terror in Swedish is not as popular as in other formats is because you're going to run into a lot of Suchis, a lot of Mishra's Factories. You cannot deal with that with Terror. So Terror is still a good card, but I think 1-off is actually the right number in most of the decks, and then add some extra Terrors in your sideboard in case you're playing against, for example, Arabian Aggro, like decks that don't play with that many artifact creatures. And that's exactly what Emil here is doing. So I can really get into that strategy. Talking about the sideboard, there are not really cards that I think, oh, this is an auto include. This is really going to hurt Karl a lot. I guess if I would be Emil after the first game, I would probably board in my Crumble. I would consider boarding in the Terrace because Karl is playing with Savannah Lions and with Sarah Angel, so you could target those. Of course, you cannot target the Suchis. But besides that, there's not really an auto-include card here. Maybe Mace, you could consider Mace, but I'm not quite sure. Anyway, this is the deck of Emil. Now let's take a look at the deck of his opponent, Karl. And here we see the deck of Karl. So this is triple S, right? And maybe you're wondering, why are there two Brothers of Fire there in the corner? Well, that is because he's a member of the Brothers of Fire crew in London. He's based in London, but these cards are not part of his deck. Okay, so when we're looking at this deck, he's playing triple S, referring to the creatures Savannah Lions, Suchi, and Sarah Angel, because they all start with, you guessed it, an S, right? So that's why it's called triple S. It looks a lot like the deck, basically, but then with more creatures, which I personally like, because it means you're going to see some more action. There's gonna be some more stuff happening. And also, if Karl is in really that dominant position that some of the deck players can get in quite quickly, Karl is a very skilled deck player. Obviously, I mean, he's reached the finals here. It means that things are gonna go a little bit quicker because there's just more pressure on the board. Personally, I really enjoyed the combat step. So if there are creatures on both sides, I like that because you're just going to see more action. So I really enjoy this version, Karl, where you're playing with creatures. So really cool to see you do that. Then, of course, we're seeing what the deck wants to do, right? We're seeing card draw with the Gem Day tomes, with, of course, the blue power cards. We also see a single Wrath of God in here, which I think is pretty cool. Wrath, a card you don't see that often anymore. And just in general, look at this deck. It's all black bordered. I mean, it's really, really beautiful. In my opinion, Karl is the favorite. Why? Because, I mean, he's playing the type of deck that wins these tournaments more often, right? Doesn't mean it's easy, because a lot of people play decks like this. So you have to defeat all of them. Like, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, just purely looking at the statistics, you could say, okay, this deck is more of a favorite. And also, you know, when you're playing white, and of course his opponent Emil doesn't, when you're playing white, that color, man, it gives you answers to so many problems. You've got Swords to Plowshares, you've got Disenchant, you've got Balance. In this case also, you've got your Wrath of God. You've got Sarah Angel, which is one of the best creatures, maybe the best creature in the format. You've got Divine Offering. Divine Offering is just a killer answer to Suchi's, right? 1 white and 1, instant speed. It's going to kill that Suchi. Probably in the turn of your opponent, because you usually have 2 mana open anyway. You're going to gain 4 life for it as well. I mean, it's a killer card. We see he's playing 1 main, he's playing 3 in the side. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he boards an extra 1 in from the sideboard. Then we also see some Mazes of If in the side. You could consider putting those in. We also see a City in a Bottle, which could be useful against the Surrender Fleets of his opponent. So he's got a lot of options here in the sideboard as well. I also like that idea of maybe spirit linking the Surrendip of your opponent. You know, that could be quite nice. He's got a single spirit link there in the sideboard. But then again, I mean, yes, maybe Karl is the favorite. Yes, maybe he's playing the deck that, you know, can win these type of tournaments. But don't rule out Emil. Emil has probably beaten these type of decks to get all the way to the finals. And when you're playing against a deck like Emil, which is really focused on tempo, on destroying your mana sources very quickly, if he's on the play, if he gets out of the gate, you know, he can definitely win. Like, it's not an auto win here for Karl. I'm just saying, when you look at the statistics, when you look at his deck, you would say, okay, Karl is the favorite. But again, that doesn't mean that Emil cannot win it. Anyway, I am rambling on about these who's going to win, who's not going to win. I guess we're just going to watch the match and we're going to find out. So let's go to the finals of the Arvika Festival number 10 between Emil and Karl. Let's do it! Game number 1, here we go with on the left, and I believe on the play as well, we've got Emil. So he's playing his Bug Ponza deck, so land destruction, starting here with an Elves of Deep Shadow and double Moxen. Wow, quite an explosive start here for Emil. I wonder if he can cast a Suchi next turn, and he's taking on Karl, and Karl's playing a dominantly blue and white triple S deck, so it's kind of like the deck with creatures. He's playing Savannah Lions, Sarah Angels, and Suchis, and of course also some Mishra's Factories. Both players are, by the way, I believe, a full playset. So let's see what Karl can do in his first turn. Obviously taking a moment here, trying to decide what to do. Looks like he also has a Mox there, because he's having 2 cards that he wants to play out. Yep, a Mox Emerald and a Plains. And he is playing with, for example, Savannah Lions, so that could be a turn 1 for him. Also playing with, of course, Disenchant, some Divine Offerings. Could try to kill some of the Moxen. There's the Savannah Lions passing the turn. So the 2/1 vanilla creature, really an all-star in old school Magic. And Emil here untapping the Tropical Island, drawing for turn. And of course, I mean, yes, it's nice to have such a strong opening with 4 cards with the double Mox, but it does mean you only have a few cards left in hand. 4 cards now, I believe, now back to 3, playing out that Mishra's Factory. And I still wonder if we're going to see, for example, a Paralyze on the line here, or if we're going to see a Suchi, or just an Ice Storm. Probably an Ice Storm. Yep, there's the Ice Storm taking out the Plains, and there's the pass. So could have considered attacking or offering a trade for the lion. Then again, he's also playing with single, so really wants to have the double black here. So probably that's why he's not attacking. There we see a Tundra by Karl. And that kind of shows, right, that I think Karl kind of had this idea, okay, I'm going to run into some land removal. I'm not going to start with my duel. Here we see a Black Lotus, so I guess we're in for an explosive turn. Going to tap the Tundra or not. Beautiful double-signed Black Lotus, by the way. That's pretty insane. The whole deck of Karl is really nice to look at, by the way. There we see a block here by Emil, so he is trading the elves here for the Savannah Lions. Are we going to see, for example, a Sarah Angel? Nope, we're just going to see a pass here. Of course, Karl, having that the deck strategy, is more of the controlling player here compared to Emil, who wants to just quickly play out his land destruction. And it's just really tough for him now to play against all this artifact mana. I mean, there is he going to animate? He is going to attack. Is he going to run into a disenchant? I guess he is. Yep, there we see. Oh, it is a Divine Offering. Actually, you know, this is kind of a silver lining for Emil. Yes, it's not great that he's destroying the factory, but at least it's destroyed with that Divine Offering, only playing one Divine Offering main. So that means it can no longer take out a Suchi here later in the game. And I guess if you're Emil, you're really hoping for a Crumble, right? That you can just now play Crumble on the Black Lotus and just put Karl in a difficult position. He is going to tap the Trop here, so are we going to see a Crumble? It's going to untap it again, though. It's going to play out a Bayou and then passing the turn. So that's maybe one of the reasons why he decided to block with the Elves of Deep Shadow. Okay, now we're going to see a Crumble in the upkeep. Interesting, he's going to play it in the upkeep. Could have done it main. I wonder why he decided to do it in the upkeep instead of in his own end step. Anyway, passing the turn here. Karl continuing with this turn, taking the draw, playing a City of Brass and passing the turn. But the Crumble worked out fine here for Emil because it's now off of the battlefield. There we see a Surrender Befreed 3/4 flyer. Are we going to see a counter spell here? A quick tap down. Yep, there's the counter spell. And of course, Karl is taking a damage from his own city. Going to drop to 19 and Emil's still on 20. There we see, an Ancestral Recall. Yeah, these cards can really make the difference. Of course, both players playing with the blue power. There we see a Tundra. There's another Mox. Is he going to play out a Suchi? Going to tap 4, take a damage, drop to 18. Expecting to see a Suchi here. Nope, we're going to see a Jam Day Tome. So that's the 4 mana, also 4 mana artifact. And you can tap it and pay 4 to draw a card. There we see the Suchi on the side of Emil. Passing the turn here back to Karl. Karl having, I believe, 3 cards in hand, 2 cards in hand now, playing his 3rd Tundra. Going to tap 2. Are we going to see a Disenchant here? There's the Disenchant. And actually, Suchi and Jam Day Tome make a really nice combination because then if somebody destroys your Suchi, you can use the 4 mana to pump into your book. But of course, Karl didn't have the Suchi, but Emil did, so that play couldn't be done here. We see Karl drawing a card here with his Tome, by the way, on the end step of Emil. Playing another Mox here. And I mean, it's looking good for Karl. He's super dominant. This is what his deck wants to do, right? Dominate the game. Have a Jam Day Tome to draw more cards than your opponent. Emil only having 1 card in hand. It's just not looking great for him. He is going to play the Terror here on the Lion. But I mean, that's not really going to do much, I think. Because look at this. Karl is now drawing twice as many cards as Emil. And that's the problem for Emil. That's the thing when you play against these decks. And I've played against these decks often. To just see them control the game and draw an extra card every single turn. It's so frustrating. And here we see a Strip Mine. Really nice altars as well in the deck of Karl here, by the way. There's a Soul Ring. There's a Bayou and just a pass. So it's a slow game here, but I think Karl has been pretty dominant since the start of this first game here in the finals of the Arvika Festival. Karl on 17, Emil on 20. But life totals don't really matter here. It's all about control. And this is the thing, you know, Emil's playing land destruction. He wants to win on tempo, but look at the amount of mana sources Karl has. I mean, that plan is pretty much out of the window. Here we see a Demonic Tutor. And I think if you're Emil here, of course you're not going to say, you know, you got the first game, because The finals is not timed. You want to get as much information as you can. We're not playing with open deck lists, so you want to get as much information as you can about the deck of your opponent. But I think if you're Emil, you are now like kind of realizing, okay, you know, I'm playing against some kind of the deck build, and he's got full control. He's got an active tome. He's drawing more cards. There's a really slim chance that I can get back from this. But I just want to, you know, keep playing, get more information, and maybe I'll be one of the luckiest people on earth and I will still win this first game. Who knows? As long as you're alive, I guess you can still, you know, win the game. We see Karl here picking up the cards, shuffling, and allowing Emil here to cut. And we see Karl doing the cutting here. And the cards go back here on the mat. There's a tap. And there's a Savannah Lines, and there's a pass. There's a draw, 2 cards in hand here for Emil. There we see a Mox Emerald. Tapping the Bayou. Yep, there's the Paralyze. I mean, it's cute, right? Now Paralyze is just cute. You know, in his strategy, he's going to play it early in the game when his opponent doesn't have a lot of lands. I'm surprised here, by the way, that Karl isn't even untapping the line. Does he have a better option? Does he have a Brain Geyser in hand, for example? Probably looked up the Brain Geyser with the Demonic. That would be kind of sick, having this much mana. And I believe Emil is now out of cards as well. Yeah, we're going to see a Brain Geyser. There's the Brain Geyser. Yeah, the moment he didn't untap the line, I'm like, okay, what does he have? Oh yeah, he just had a Demonic Tutor turn. Probably Brain Geyser. Look at this, drawing 7 cards. Oh, man. If you're Emil now, right, you're just going to go to the bar. Oh, no, it's just the first game, Emil. Stay in here. Stay in here. Like I said, I mean, you can consider saying, okay, you've got game 1. But on the other hand, you can continue playing, trying to get some information. Some more information. Although, I mean, most of the cards that Karl plays in his deck are, you know, pretty obvious. There we see a factory hitting the board here for Karl. Karl now, I believe, having 8 cards in hand, so he will have to discard 1 to discard down to hand size. Unless, of course, he's got another option. He is going to tap the factory. Oh, yeah, he's going to animate it to make it a 2-2. Probably play a copy here. Going to take another damage, drop to 16. Are we going to see a copy artifact here? Yeah, there's the copy. Yeah, this is a really nice play. Another reason why copy artifact is so popular. It's just so handy to start copying your own factories. So it's not just used to copy Suchis or copy Moxen. You can also really successfully use it to copy your factories. Emil here, by the way, quickly passing his turn, just playing out a single Mishra's factory. Karl still keeping the line tapped, by the way. Doesn't really seem to care much about the line. Is he going to animate the factory? No, of course he's going to strip. Also had the strip. Living a life of luxury here for Karl. Now animating his 2 factories, attacking for 4. And I think we're now going to kind of see the life total going down pretty quickly now for Emil. I wonder if he also has a Suchi or maybe a Sarah Angel. Putting 5 cards there separate. Tapping the 5. Are we going to see a Sarah Angel here? Yep, there's the Sarah. 4/4 flying creature that doesn't have to tap when she attacks. There's just a land for Emil. And that's it. Emil saying, I've seen enough. You've got game number 1. So yeah, pretty successful here for Karl. Having full control, having that book. That is what the deck player wants to do, right? And I think for both players here, especially for Emil, of course, there's some work to do in the sideboard choices. Talking about that, we're going to let these players check out their sideboards, and we will catch back up with them in game number 2. Game number 2, here we go. So it's 1 game up for Karl, the player on the right. So Emil here on the play with his Ponza deck. Let's see what he can do. Looks like he's taking a mulligan here. Is he going to go down to 6? He is going to go down to 6, it seems. Is he going to go down even deeper? No. Okay, that's good news. At least just a single mulligan. For a moment there, I thought he was going down to 5. Starting with the Bayou here, passing the turn. Let's see what Karl can do. It was quite successful in that first game. There's a Tundra pass. So who's going to win the finals here? So Karl is just 1 game away from winning the finals. There's an Ancestral Recall for him. Wow. That is sweet. Not much that Emil can do against that with his deck. And Karl now having lots of cards in hand. There is a City of Brass. Is he going to drop maybe a line, or is he just going to discard and keep counter magic up? That's also an option, of course. Ideally, you would like to see some Moxen in your hand so you can just kind of empty your hand and you don't have to discard anything. He's really in the tank here, probably having to make some tough decisions here, cutting down his hand size or deciding to play at that line. But again, if you do, then of course you don't have counter magic up anymore, so it's probably not a great play. Yeah, Karl really taking his time. Makes sense. This is, of course, the finals. And maybe for your information, this match was played, I don't know, what time was it? 2 in the morning? And we started at 11 in the morning of the previous day, of course. So these players have been playing a long time. It's been hours and hours and hours and hours of play. So fatigue is definitely going to play a role here. There we see a double discard. Look at that. Even discarding a counterspell here. Also discarding a mace, or perhaps the mace came in from the sideboard. But wow, if he's discarding a counterspell, what does it say about the rest of his hand? He's going to tap 3 probably for an Ice Storm here. Yep, Ice Storm, probably going to see a counterspell. Going to try to probably Ice Storm the Tundra here. There we see a counterspell. As to be expected. I mean, the good news for Emil, though, is that at least we've got 2 counterspells in the graveyard. You got to try to look at the silver lining here of the clouds that are forming. Here we see a Mishra's Factory. Going to animate it. Probably going to copy it exactly. So it's going to do that trick again. It's going to take a damage. Going to drop to 18. And now he's got 2 factories for some aggression next turn. Of course, he is tapped out now. So, well, almost tapped out. Only has that 1 copied factory. So cannot counter. So if Emil has some land destruction here, he can pretty safely play it. Of course, doesn't have to double black for a potential sinkhole. And now, of course, it's Emil's turn to really do the thinking. There's an underground sea. Are we going to see a sinkhole now having that double black? Yep, we're going to see a sinkhole. Are you now going to target the colored mana, or are you going to go for the factories? Because the factories will eventually kill you. On the other hand, he's also playing with crumbles, and he probably boarded in that extra crumble as well from the sideboard. Looks like he is going to go here for the factory. And he's going to go for the original one. So remember, the copy artifact there is a Mishra's Factory. There we see another Tundra. There's the pass here by Karl. Untap, upkeep, draw for Emil. Emil on 20, Karl on 18. And of course, Karl 1 game up after, winning the first game. What is Emil going to do? Tapping 3, or we're going to see a Serendip Efreet, perhaps another Ice Storm. Is he going to take out the last factory? Yep, he is. Destroying the last factory, passing the turn. So things are looking a little bit better for Emil. I think if you're Emil, you're really hoping, of course, to draw into like an Ancestral Recall, get some cards back into your hand, some more fuel. There's a Suchi there in hand for Emil. I think he's got 4 cards in hand at the moment. Not quite sure how many cards Karl has. Probably more. Looks like about 6 cards in hand there for Karl. Yeah, these games are just so strategic. It's all about resources. Here we see a Regrowth. Is he going to get back maybe the Sinkhole? Yeah, he's going to get back the Sinkhole. He's going to try to continue attacking the mana base here of Karl. Is he going to go for the Tundra here, for example? Or is he going to go for the Savannah, cutting off the black? Of course, he does have the City of Brass as well, so you could consider going for the Tundra here, kind of forcing Karl to use that city more often. Look at this. We see a Power Sink. Power Sink, I believe, a one-off here. Probably came in from the sideboard as well, right? He was playing the Power Sink in the side. It's really nice to see players like of the level of Karl like playing one Power Sink in the side. It really makes you wonder, okay, why would he do this? Why not board in something more obvious in your sideboard? But because it's such a good player, you're like, okay, there's a reason for this. So I always like to try to analyze, why is he doing it? When are you going to board in your Power Sink? I guess this type of deck, you're going to board in the Power Sink. Look at this, though. Oh, Counterspell. This was the moment for Emil. Oh, that Mind Twist didn't resolve. Emil really needed this Mind Twist to stick, I feel. But it didn't. Another counterspell. So Karl just had a lot of counter magic in his hand, by the way. He now already has a power sink and 3 counterspells in the bin. Here we see a Serendip, a Freed hitting the board by Emil. Okay, I guess the Serendip is going to stick. Karl, of course, has a deck with Swords to Plowshares, has a lot of answers, I believe, here to the Serendip. But for now, it's a 3-4 flyer, and if nothing changes, he can start attacking with it next turn. Looks like Karl's going to tap 2 here. What are we going to see? Okay, we're going to see a City in a Bottle coming in from the side. Of course, destroying his own city, but also destroying the Serendips. And more importantly, it also means Emil can no longer play out the Serendip Efreets in his deck until he has destroyed here this City in a Bottle. Here we see a Suchi, 4/4 creature from Antiquities. And there's the pass. Are we going to see like a Divine Offering or a Disenchant or a Swords? Or maybe nothing. Karl untapping and drawing for turn. Gonna tap 2. And we are going to see a copy artifact here. So he's going to copy the Suchi. And now he's probably going to destroy it. Yeah, there we go. This is so brutal. We are going to see a response though. A crumble here. Oh, I like this. A crumble in response on the Suchi of Karl. Karl's going to gain some life for that, of course, because of the crumble. There's the attack for 4. So I'm liking this game so far. It's really back and forth. For a moment there, I thought, oh, maybe Karl's just going to be too dominant. But Emil's pretty successful here at finding a way through. And I wonder if he's going to attack again with his double factory. It looks like he is. He's going to attack again. Are we going to see some disenchant action? We're going to see a Swords here on one of the Suchi. So Emil's going to go up 2. He's going to go to 22. 2 damage here for Karl. Who's going to drop to 16. And there's the pass. He's going to tap 4. Okay, there's a Gem Day Tome. I mean, that's a problem for Emil, but at least he can still attack with his own factory here. Deal 2 more damage. Going to tap 2 first. Okay, there's a Single. This Single is a big deal because it means Karl no longer has 4 mana to use the Tome. There's the pass. And I have to say, I was a little bit skeptical, I guess, about using that regrowth on land destruction, but now it seems to pay off. We do see a Mace here for Karl, which is kind of annoying for Emil. Emil having 2 cards in hand. Tapping. And, oh, there's an Ancestral Recall. And look at that, Karl doesn't have double blue anymore. And of course, he's played out the majority of his counter magic also, so that's kind of nice for Emil. He's going to tap a green. Elves of Deep Shadow, 1/1 creature from the dark. And another factory. It's going to pass the turn. I mean, this Ancestral Recall was great for Emil. Are we going to see land number 4? We're going to see a Black Lotus. He's got 6 mana now. Looks like he is going to pass. You can see that hand there slowly going. I'm like, are you going to pass or not? He is passing your turn. Of course, both players are really taking their time here. It is the finals. There's a shark on the line. So this is a really big deal. Like winning a shark is just something that only a few players have managed to do. It's the biggest honor, I believe, in old school Magic. There's the attack here. 2 Mishra's Factories and an Elves of Deep Shadow into the red zone. Of course, he's got that Mace. The thing is with Mace, if you Mace the factory, he can then tap the factory to pump the other factory. So Mace, not that great here. Can, of course, send back, for example, the Elves, exactly take 4 still, drop to 10. No Disenchants, no Swords, no Divine Offerings here for Karl. There's another land to Bayou, and that last card in hand there for Emil, we could get a little sneak peek, is a Serendip Freet. There we see, oh, that's unfortunate, a mana drain. And he's going to use the mana that he's got left, the blue mana, to draw an extra card as well. So it's very unfortunate here that he had that mana drain. Now he's going to use the mana drain mana to draw another card. So really nice mana drain for Karl here. And I feel kind of bad, because Mana Drain was one of the only counterspells in his deck, I believe. Oh, look at this Time Walk as well. Oh, man. This can get out of hand really quickly now. He's got 4 lands again, so he can start using the Tome. There we see a strip mine, which is quite handy against those Mishra's factories here of Emil. So yeah, Emil no longer really has a good attack here. I have to say the maze is pretty annoying now again. If he has a crumble in hand, then he's got an attack again. But then again, if you've got a crumble, you probably want to target the Gem Tome of Karl. So Emil here a little bit in the tank. Looks like he's going to pass turn. Karl drawing an extra card on end step. That makes sense, of course. Untap, upkeep, draw. Yeah, and now you've got that problem that we saw in game 1 as well. Karl has got full control and a tome. That is a problem. That is what the deck and the deck type player wants to do. Get control, have your tome, keep drawing that extra card on end step. It's so frustrating to play against. And of course, I'm hoping that Emil can find a way out because I'd love to see a game 3, but oh man, I've seen this scenario too often. It's going to be really tricky for Emil to find a way. I mean, there was a moment in this game where I thought, okay, Emil is actually coming back, dealing damage. We see Karl being on 10, but it's so tough. It's so tough at this stage of the game. There's the pass. And Karl is not in a hurry. He's fine. He's got control. He's drawing more cards. He's like, I can wait. It's 3 o'clock at night, but I can wait. I'm fine. And Emil really has to, again, hope for this little miracle to happen. Okay, there's a strip mine. This could be the start of that miracle. What are you going to strip here, right? I mean, the maze, I guess? Going to pass here. Again, more cards for Karl. Every single turn that you cannot change the board state, it means Karl's going to draw an extra card more than you, which is such an advantage. You can see the amount of lands also grow. Remember, there was a stage in the game where Karl didn't even have enough lands to use his Gem Tome. That was the moment where Emil was at his strongest. That was the moment where Emil was dealing damage. That was the moment where Karl went from 20 to 10. But now we're back in Karl land again. Full control. Look at this. Drawing more cards. Emil just passing turn. Ay. It's not looking great for the Ponza player here. And I mean, I'm just waiting here for Karl to start casting the Sarah Angel and fly over the forces of Emil and deal damage. There we see an Underground Sea. It's going to tap the Scrubland and the Pearl. What are we going to see for 2? Maybe a Demonic. There's the Demonic Tutor. I mean, there's a lot of options he could go for here. I mean, I wanted to say Library of Alexandria, but you're not going to be able to play that out because of his own city in a bottle. And of course, Emil has a strip mine, so that's really not a good idea. Could go for Brain Geyser, but then again, he's already got so many cards in hand. Could even consider just going for a Sarah Angel. Play Sarah Angel, start attacking with that. A Recall could be an interesting option as well. I'm not even sure if he plays with the Recall. But if he does, a Recall could be an option because you've got that graveyard filled with counter magic, Time Walk, and is there Ancestral Recall in there? No, I don't think so, right? So it could also go for Ancestral Recall with the Demonic. But anyway, I mean, Karl is in such a winning position here. There's the shuffle again. And I mean, of course, these players are taking their time. You're in the finals. You've played the whole day from 11 in the morning till 3 at night. So you don't want to make a stupid mistake here. So there, the Demonic going into the graveyard. And is Karl just going to play out an Ancestral Recall here? If he is, probably going to do it in the turn of Emil. Or not, going to tap 2. What are we going to see for 2? Ooh, there's a Chaos Orb. There's the pass. I don't think he looked up the Chaos Orb. Probably was in his hand already. And the pass here, Emil playing another Elves of Deep Shadow. It's a beautiful card, and it's also beautiful to see it in the finals, but it's not going to do much here. There's another Gem Tome activation by Karl here on the end step of Emil. And really Karl living a life of luxury here. Didn't cast the Ancestral Recall, by the way, so maybe he looked up something else. Who knows? 4 cards there. Is that just for 5? Okay, are we going to see Sarah Angel? I don't see. Is that double white? Of course, you've got the Pearl and the Scrubland. Oh, Mind Twist. Yeah, of course, Mind Twist. Okay, there's the single counterspell by Emil. Does have a mana drain. So Karl probably looked up the Mind Twist. It says a lot about the way I think, right? That I never really realized, oh yeah, of course, people are playing Mind Twist. I usually don't play Mind Twist. That's why I don't even think about the card. The card's, of course, super good and super evil. So yeah, Mind Twist makes sense here that Karl looked it up. He is running into that single counterspell in Emil's deck, which is the Mana Drain. Can Emil do something with that Mind Twist Mana Drain mana? That's the question. I mean, he's got quite some cards in hand. No, he's just going to pass. So again, more cards for Emil. I mean, for Karl. Yeah, this is... Karl's got this one in the back, right? I mean, at this point, I'm just waiting for him to play a Sarah Angel and start swinging in with the Sarah. And he can easily do that. He can easily play out a Sarah, keep mana open for counter magic. That's no problem with his mana base. You see him here kind of rearranging the lands again, putting the factories there on the right side. The maze in the middle. Remember, he also still has that strip mine there as well next to the maze. I mean, he's so dominating this. Doesn't even have to use the Chaos Orb. That's so annoying when you're playing against a player who just drops down the Chaos Orb and says, you know what? I don't have to use it. I'm going to wait until you play something better. Like, it's just so disheartening. Oh, Wrath of God. I do love to see a Wrath of God. I mean, it doesn't have a big impact here. It just takes away 2 elves. But look at that card. It's so beautiful. Beautiful black bordered Wrath of God here. Beautiful to see it in a final. Such an iconic card that is slowly starting to become more popular again. There was a moment where almost nobody played a Wrath anymore. People rather played 4 swords and then maybe an extra mace or something, but you didn't see a lot of Wraths. Here we see a Suchi, by the way, by Karl. So that Suchi could start in swinging next turn, right? Because Karl can consider using the strip. Okay, there's a Suchi by Emil. So both players now having the 4/4. I wonder if you're Karl, if you want to go and do a Chaos Orb flip. Would be nice in the finals to see an Orb flip. It's going to tap 4. Just going to draw a card, though. That makes more sense. And then if you want to flip, you can always do it now. So untap, upkeep, and draw. And of course, when you're drawing twice as many cards as your opponent, you don't have to really, think about... the value of your spells because you have so many. So you could just, play them out. There we see Disenchant. Yeah, doesn't even have to use the Orb flip. Again, I wonder if he's going to use the strip. Maybe he's got more artifact removal in hand. It looks like he is going to use the strip here. So, I mean, in response, Emil could now animate the other factory, pump his factory, make it a 3/3, then can... tap itself, assign blockers and then tap itself, make it a 4/4, trade it for the Suchi. So I guess that's what he's going to do here. Yes, he's going to animate, then he's going to pump it, so it's now a 3/3. That's the right play to do. And if you're Karl, you could consider just now to flip your Chaos Orb on it, or play artifact removal, or just pass turn and say, you know what, I'm just going to attack next turn. I've got all the time of the world. Looks like he is gonna flip here. Okay, we're gonna see a flip in the finals. I like it. Or are we gonna see a crumble from Emil? No crumble. Okay, flip in the finals. Arvika Festival number 10. Flip here on the Mishra's Factory. It's a hit. Yeah, very solid flip. And now he can animate all his factories, and with the Suchi attack, he can attack for 10 actually. Emil's still on 22, but life totals say little. I mean, he also wants to keep, of course, some mana open for his book. So probably not going to animate all of them, but could consider animating one. Now remember, Emil also still has a strip mine, so I wonder if he's going to use this. Yeah, there we see the strip. Going to use the strip, no hesitation. He is going to take 4 though from the Suchi, drop to 18. There's the pass by Karl. There's an underground sea, and you can kind of see how he puts that on a battlefield, that he knows it's pretty much over, but of course you're going to continue playing. You're in the finals. You're not going to pick up your cards here. And we see, I believe, are there 2 factories left for Karl, I think, right? So he can attack for 8 if he wants to. Or does he have a better option? He's going to animate. Yep, going to attack for 8. Going to put him on 10. Going to pass the turn. So we're not even going to see a Sarah. I always love to see a Sarah hitting the board, but I guess it's not going to happen. Going to animate, going to attack for 8. There's a crumble, I guess, on the Suchi. Are we going to see a counter spell here? I don't know if he even has counter magic left. Maybe 1 counter spell. Yep, I guess he's got the 1 counter spell. That's the story of the second game. I mean, Karl is finding all his counter magic, and it makes it really tough to play against. Emil dropping to 2. Last turn for Emil. That's it. We've got a champion. Congratulations, Karl. You're the winner of the Arvika Festival number 10. And a beautiful, beautiful giant shark. And that was it for the Arvika Festival number 10. I hope you've enjoyed the series as much as I did, making it and actually going all the way to Sweden and visit Arvika and the Arvika crew. Of course, a big thank you to the Arvika guys. You're so welcoming, friendly, and you run a beautiful, beautiful tournament. And I'm not surprised that people go all the way to Arvika, which is basically in the middle of nowhere in Sweden, to visit your event, because it's old school, you know, it's all about the gathering. I love it. Special thanks to David, Daniel, and Marcus from the Arvika crew, because you guys reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to stream at your event. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the series. If you did, please consider leaving a like, a comment, and share this on your socials. All these things are free and really help the channel move forward. Talking about moving forward, you can also become a patron of the show. Check out patreon.com/TimmyTalks for all the information. And now let's go to the end scroll.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. Early in the morning, putting in the longboat until he's sober, putting in the longboat until he's sober, putting in the longboat until he's sober. Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. Early in the morning, pull out the plug and wet him all over, pull out the plug and wet him all over, pull out the plug and wet him all over. Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. Early in the morning. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Put him in the scout to the hose, my son, put him in the scout to the hose, my son, put him in the scout to the hose, my son. Early in the morning, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises. Early in the morning.
Icketus, ficketus, sumba, kazee.